Good afternoon. My name is Everett Lindquist. I'm editor of the journal Canadian Public Administration, which is sponsored by the Institute of Public Administration of Canada, and it's our scholarly journal. Today, it is my pleasure to announce the winners of the 2019 Hodgetts Award for the best English article in the 2019 issue of Canadian Public Administration. And I have with me today Alison Smith from the University of Toronto and Jack Lucas from the University of Calgary. Welcome, Alison and Jack.
Thank you.
So let me tell the listeners today some of the background on the Hodgetts Award. Each year, the Hodgetts Award is awarded to the finest article in English appearing in the previous year's volume of Canadian Public Administration, which, as you know, is comprised of 4 issues. It was created in 1992 by the Institute of Public Administration to honor the contributions of Ted Hodgetts, who passed away in 2009. Professor Hodgetts received the Order of Canada in 1989 in honor of his lifetime of achievement in public administration scholarship and public service. He was also awarded IPAC's Vanier Gold Medal in 1981 in recognition of his exceptional leadership and significant contribution to the field of public administration. This year, the jury for the Hodgetts Award was comprised of Kathy Brock of Queen's University, Laurie Turnbull of Dalhousie University, and Luc Chouillier, University of Ottawa. It was Luc that chaired the Hodgetts Award committee. The committee members independently reviewed all of the English articles in the 2019 issue of the journal and met to compare the respective rankings. So I'm going to read the citation that the committee read for Jack and Alison's article entitled Multi-Level Policy from the Municipal Perspective, a Pan-Canadian Survey. For this groundbreaking article, Lucas and Smith surveyed the mayors and councillors of all Canadian municipalities with more than 5,000 residents to probe how they see their involvement, as well as the involvement of other levels of governments, business, and nonprofit organizations in policymaking across 18 policy areas. Amongst other findings, they showed that local elected officials are involved in a surprisingly wide range of policy areas, going well beyond traditional local issues. Conversely, even areas that are often perceived as exclusively local significantly involve higher level governments, businesses, and nonprofit organizations, concluding that multi-level policy involvement is now the norm rather than the exception across most municipalities, and not only in big cities. The authors call for more attention to be paid to the role of local governments across a much wider range of policy areas than in the past. In awarding the Hodgetts Award to this article, members of the committee noted it exemplifies how academic research can improve our understanding of public administration. Through extensive data gathering and methodological innovation, including the development of a new multi-level policy involvement index, the authors provide a rigorous, comprehensive, and systematic assessment of an important trend in policymaking across the country. This well-written and insightful article should inspire new avenues for research on this fundamental dimension of Canadian public administration. So from those 3 scholars, that is high praise. And I really want to congratulate you, Alison and Jack, on your accomplishment, not to mention a significant research project. So I would like to ask each of you to very briefly just describe how you came to do this research and use your research as part of an ongoing stream of activity and what you are doing now in connection to this article. So first, I'd like to turn to you, Alison.
Great, thank you very much. Thank you to the committee. It is a great honor to be to receive this award. I came to this interest in multi-level governance research a little bit. It took me a little while to get here. When I was living in Vancouver doing my master's, I volunteered at a homeless shelter in the downtown east side that had just been opened up by Gregor Robertson. There was a lot of activity at the time around Gregor Robertson's commitment to ending street homelessness, which I found to be really interesting to find a local government that's so involved in such a big area of social policy. And that experience led me to study homelessness as a part of my PhD research. I did my research under the supervision of Alain Noel, who's one of Canada's most important scholars of federalism. And he saw a really important role, of course, for the provinces. And so I ended up with a bit of a clunky thesis that worked, but it had a whole bunch of separate parts that were sort of didn't quite fit together. And so it was through reading and thinking about it more and more that I realized that it wasn't a story about federalism. It wasn't a story about urban governance, but what's happening with homelessness across the country is really a story of multi-level governance, of different levels of government and sectors of society coming together very differently across the country. And so when I read Martin Horak's work on multi-level governance, it really resonated with what I had found. And this project was a really interesting opportunity to understand, to get a bit more perspective on homelessness. Is homelessness really unique in an area of policy that involves so many levels of government and sectors of society? And I think we were excited and surprised by the findings that sort of informs what I'm currently working on, which continues to be specifically on homelessness governance, on the interactions of different actors and the involvement of them as well.
Great. Well, thank you very much for that. And I also note that Martin has published in the journal, along with our associate editor, Carrie Doberstein, who's worked on homelessness as well. So it's just an amazing topic area and a very important one. Jack, how did you come to work in this area, and what's in the pipeline for you?
Well, first, I echo Allison's thanks for this award. It really is a great honor. I'll tell you a little about the background of this project to add to what Allison has said. I think it was 2018, Robert Schertzer and Grace Kelly, I think, organized a workshop at CPSA on mapping and assessing Canadian IGR. And they asked us to do something as part of that workshop on the municipal sector. And thinking back to what got this project started, I was trying to remember, to be honest. And I think it was that workshop that got us talking about how would you actually go about mapping Canadian IGR from the municipal perspective. And we started to think as we were discussing this, that given the work that many scholars, and particularly Martin Horak, had done to build a kind of framework for understanding multi-level governance in Canada, and given all of the work that had been done in specific cities or specific policy sectors on multi-level governance, maybe we were in a position where we were ready to do something that was more big picture and try and present a kind of comprehensive look at how multi-level governance works across many municipalities and policy sectors. So that's what got us started on, I think, on this idea. And so we did this survey in early 2018 and wrote this paper in Canadian Public Administration out of that survey, as well as did a little bit of follow-up work that ended up in a chapter in Grace Skogstad and Herman Backfist's book on Canadian federalism. But I think one of the most obvious ways that this project informed what I'm doing right now is that it served very directly as the inspiration for a new project called the Canadian Municipal Barometer, which is an annual survey of mayors and councillors across Canada. And we're trying to sort of institutionalize what we first did in early 2018 in this article, which is to ask mayors and councillors each year about how things are going in their municipalities on public policy and local democracy, but also intergovernmental interaction. And so this really inspired a whole new line of thinking for me about how it really was possible to do these large-scale surveys of municipal elected officials in Canada and learn something from them. And it also taught me, much to my ongoing delight, that mayors and councillors in Canada are willing to complete these surveys. And so we're, I have a permanent gratitude to the 1,000 or so people who did the survey for this Canadian Public Administration article. And it really helps us to be able to, have the benefit of the time that it takes for them to complete these surveys. And the one that they did for this article was certainly a long and perhaps tedious survey. And so we're grateful that they did it.
Well, great. Well, thank you very much for doing that. I'm quite struck about the quick turnaround time between that initial invitation to make a contribution at that workshop to getting the survey out and then getting an article out. So it is a real pleasure to share this news with you. And also I want to say to the audience that's listening that this is just one part of the next generation of scholars, Allison and Jack, of public administration, public policy and governance scholars in Canada. They're working in all sorts of really interesting areas and really drawing upon some of these frameworks that have developed to look at complex challenges and yet from the vantage point of particular and well understood governance actors such as municipal governments. So, so congratulations on the award. Thank you for participating today. And we really do look forward to seeing what comes next from your current research endeavors. Thank you.